Dad's got another tattoo!
On this week's episode, we go diving below the waist as we're joined by the CEO of FirmTech, the company behind Richard's digital cock ring. We discover that erectile fitness could be the canary in the coal mine for cardiac health. Find out whether Richard's nocturnal erections are above or below average, and medical confirmation, as if it were needed, that golf makes you look like an old bastard as we navigate midlife. Hello and welcome to episode 13 of Mum, Dad's Got Another Tattoo, the Midlife Crisis podcast. I'm Mark and I am here with my co-host Richard.
Hello.
Hello, Richard. Well, today we have another guest on. You may recall that Richard bought a wearable that goes around the old chap. Well, to get more information about that, we went right to the very top, and we've got the CEO, Dr. Elliot Justin, coming on in a minute. But first, I guess a little bit more correspondence that we've had this week.
Fantastic.
Focus on my Molly May take.
Okay.
Which hasn't been met with universal agreement thus far.
Right. That's unlike your opinions.
Yeah, well, the more people that disagree with me, the more I am convinced I'm right. But one of them, we've got an international lister. We've gone global.
Isle of Man?
Dubai. Got a message from John in Dubai. He's promised a follow-up because he said... So he emailed in, John from Dubai, thanks for listening. You've lost me on the Molly May stuff. We'll email in. Has not emailed in.
Come on, John, stick it to him. Don't be shy.
But maybe he's reflected on my argument and he's thought, do you know what? You're dead right, which is what I expect most members of the human race. That's how my opinions normally land. First of all, with utter repulsion.
And then they have time to digest.
Yeah. You know, the Brian Clough, it was like the Brian Clough school of social commentary where we all, get in a room, talk about our views, and at the end we all decide that I was right.
Oh, John, I'm looking forward to this. Don't be shy now.
Molly May, and I think it's quite, it's timely that we mentioned that because, of course, Love Island will be starting again soon. Absolutely love Love Island. It's one of my favourite programs. And I think, when you're in midlife, especially if you have children of a certain age, it's very useful, Love Island, because it completely takes away the argument of what are we going to watch tonight. Because it's on every night of the week. It's a brilliant it occupies that lovely space where, you're sitting there together, barely paying attention, doom scrolling through whatever social media you are. And then when it goes off, that's time to go to bed. It's brilliant.
I can fill my time up with the SEAL team assassination of of Osama bin Laden.
Oh, I've seen that. It's very good.
It's really good. Really good. And...
but you can't watch that for the next 3 months.
Got YouTube.
It's only for... You could, again, right, that's not you and your wife sitting there watching YouTube together. Love Island is part of the communal watch. And also, I think it tells us a lot about the current sexual dynamics at play, where we've spoken about toxic masculinity, and sometimes it's on display, and you see people push back against that, either online or actually in the moment, and you see, some of the dynamics that are playing out right in front of you in pure human drama form. What's not to love about it?
I won't make a decision until I hear what Jim Davidson says.
Right, should we get a guest on?
Let's do it.
From the emergency room front lines to revolutionising sexual health, our next guest has seen it all. He's the founder of FirmTech, believes men's sexual health deserves better. He's developed the Tech Ring, a smart wearable designed to help men optimise their erectile fitness, measuring everything from nocturnal erections to performance in the bedroom. He's also the man that says, short of a heart attack or stroke, there aren't many emergencies as alarming to men as a limp penis. And we're looking forward to finding out more about the science behind this innovation. welcome to the show, Dr. Elliot Justin.
Great to be here.
Thanks for joining us. We should say as well, in episode 6, we had an unboxing, which a challenge to an audio-only format, I must admit. Because Richard is now a firm customer and user. So I guess the first question is...
Proud owner.
Proud owner.
And by the way, Richard, I've not seen your data. It's cyber secure. I can't see...
So your career in medicine, how has it brought you to this?
I'll just give you the highlights. I think that among doctors around the entire world, I am probably the only doctor, certainly the only doctor I've ever met, but probably the only doctor in the world, whose mother took him to a urologist twice when he was a teenager because she was concerned that his masturbation habit would prevent him from getting into college.
Was that too much or too little?
No mum's getting worried about too little. Yeah.
Then, the first day of medical school, I realized, looked around and thought, these are not my people. So I went to the medical library. Back then, there was something called Index Medicus. Before both you guys were born, even Richard probably, before there was the web, there was this thing called the Index Medicus that basically held all the medical research, A to Z, that came out every year. I reached for the A book. I wanted to read about aphrodisiacs. There wasn't exactly a line of medical students behind me fighting, clawing. We want that book. We want that book. And by the way, I tried them all. Nothing works. And it's the same crap that's being sold today. Yohimbe, Fangandawanda, horny goatweed, maca root, blah, 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 blah. Then, jumping further ahead, I moved to Montana many years ago, and I ride horses. My wife says I ride like a 15-year-old. I ride like at least a 25-year-old, but I can be kind of feckless in the sense that I sometimes have this illusion that I'm a centaur, that I'm one with my horse. Now, that can be a dangerous illusion, and even though I destroyed the tree with my chest, I broke 6 vertebrae a bunch of years ago. And that got me interested in what's been done to rehabilitate sexual function in men and women who have spinal cord injuries. There were 6 papers in what we call the medical literature. I always laugh when I say literature because the literature means fiction. And we now know after COVID and the claims of both of our governments, yours and mine, that a good deal of what the scientists claim is science is actually bullshit. And not, well, let's give them the benefit of the doubt, not reproducible. So there were 6 papers, though, saying that they're able to neuromodulate human sexuality. When I say neuromodulation, most people are familiar with cardiac pacemaking, put an electrode in the heart and controlling the heart. Imagine being able to control human sexuality that way, especially with an aging population. So I tried out on 2 rams. I went to a veterinary lab and worked with a veterinary surgeon to identify the pudendal nerve and the cavernous nerve, everyone's 2 favorite nerves that no one has heard about, and placed an electrode by these rams' nerves. We got weak erections. We also got ejaculation. And we got defecation and urination. So it wasn't exactly veteran friendly. Maybe in certain parts of London, New York, or Sydney, there's a market for this, but it wasn't what I was trying to achieve. So my next step, instead of going out and raising $10, $15 million and going down to Nigeria, Brazil, and testing this out on men with ED, was to test it out on myself. So I had a friend who's a urology surgeon, plant an electrode just above my pubic bone, and I felt nothing. I called it Project O. I think these papers were what I call grant mining, which is a lot of medical stuff. Grant mining meaning that people publish research and they just want to get money to read more and more, to do more and more research. I don't think they actually understand fully how erections are produced in humans. One of my goals is to figure that out eventually. But I call this Project O. About 4 years ago, a urology professor at the University of Utah heard about this and said, I want to work with that guy. Because what he was trying to do is count the number of nocturnal erections that men have while they're sleeping. And when he told me that, I said, what the fuck for? Why do we care about that? And he said, because they are a leading indicator of a man's cardiovascular health. And I was taken aback because I'm not a doctor. I never heard that before. Even today, I think that most doctors are unaware of that, although there's been more play in the papers about it. So leading indicator is really powerful. Leading indicator means it's predictive. So if a young man like Richard, who should be looking at him, having 3+ nocturnal erections per night, Mark, you should be probably having 4. If that number went down by 50%, he has a 50% chance of having a heart attack over the next 2 years. So leading indicator means it's predictive. In medicine, we treat associations. High blood pressure is associated with heart attack, but it's not predictive. Nocturnal erections are predictive. This is powerful. But this urologist, like most straight doctors, is what I call a cock ring virgin. By the way, Richard, you don't look like you're a cock ring virgin. I know about Mark, but this guy was a cock ring virgin. He's never. He's
no comment.
Right. He's never even tried one. So my thought when he said this to me was, well, why are we limiting ourselves to nocturnal erections? Because what do men care more about? The ones they have when they're sleeping, even though they're significant, or the ones they have when they're trying to have sex, or having sex. So let's embed sensors into, I hate, we call it cock rings. I like to call them erection rings because an erection ring describes what it does. It sustains an erection. Cock ring just sounds vulgar. It sounds like so kind of at war with that word. I like to call it erection ring. So let's embed sensors into an erection ring. And that's what we've done. So he initially was not open to that, but I pointed out to him with data, if you measure what's going on during sex, men can also then assess the impact of alcohol, recreational drugs, cock-killing medications that we stupid doctors prescribe for them without even asking about their sexual health, meaning antihypertensives. I'm guessing the 40% adult population in the UK, like the United States too, is taking antihypertensive medication. And most of those medications affect sexual health. They affect the blood flow into the penis and the clitoris. And antidepressants. And a lot of people taking them. They're dick killers as well too. So that's how I got into this. This professor was looking for someone to. He'd been trying for like 8 or 9 years to figure out how to do this, and then I figured it out.
So that's interesting because there's two sides to it that they both ultimately go hand in hand, but there's two sides that give you data you need.
Yeah, well, not only two sides. Richard, I got into it for the data. I got into it because I saw this as a vital sign, and a really compelling vital sign for guys. And what do you care more about? I'm 70 years old. What do I care more about? How many steps I took yesterday? My blood pressure, or whether my dick works? So it's. And we all men, the doctors don't understand this. All men suffer. All men have fading erections of aging. All men, actually even starts in men in their late 20s and 30s. And I didn't understand this. Because we now have close to 85,000 erections that we've documented. There's no database like this in the world. And we've learned that what the doctors have been treating as the primary cause of erectile dysfunction, number one cause, is probably the second leading cause. And that's because they've pushed two groups together. So, and I hate the word dysfunction because it's yet another. This is kind of a guy's show, right? This is Dad's Got Another Tattoo show. So, I hate. We men get dumped on. Women. Back before Mark was born, and when Richard was probably still in nappies.
I love it. I should point out I'm about 6 months younger than Richard, but you and I are really good friends. So.
Well, it's a great hair dye job you have, and that Botox in your forehead is really working. Daddy, you got the makeup artist before this call has done a fabulous job. Because that red harsh light on Richard's face is just giving away that truth. He's got the same
I can guarantee he played golf yesterday.
It's my golf regime.
Okay. Anyway, way back earlier on in my medical career, women were still being described as hysteric, anorgasmic, frigid, cold, and the feminists came along, probably so, and said these are all negative, shaming words, and they got rid of them. Women, today women have problems. And we talk about men. To have a problem implies that something is fixable for most people. And so men get stuck with dysfunction. Well, women, even when my wife's age, they'll talk about vibrators with each other because it's not embarrassing. Because vibrators have gone mainstream. Vibrators used to be back in the 80s. Oh, you'd be vibrator dependent. Right now, if you told your wife, your girlfriend, you're vibrator dependent. Let's take that thing away from you. They're like, hey, that's divorce we're talking about. Fuck you. So, what do we get stuck with? We get stuck with dysfunction. So there are two groups. There are the men who can't attain an erection or struggle to attain an erection. That's dysfunction. That's a dead or dying dick. And those men need to see a cardiologist, a urologist. And they need our device. They need the data as well to help them sort out how bad the problem is and to see whether measures that are being proposed are working. But that's only like 10 to 15% of men. The vast majority of men my age, men your guys' age, younger men, they get an erection and they lose it. And that's multifactorial. That could be relationship issues, confidence issues, medication side effects, alcohol, recreational drugs, the baby's crying in the next room, you're worried about paying your next mortgage. That's multifactorial. But that's a problem. And that should not be called dysfunction, because if men are getting an erection, they're getting blood into their penis. The other men, they're really dysfunctional guys. The doctors have recognized appropriately that they each have a cardiovascular problem. Or the heart's not pumping enough blood, or the arteries are narrower from atherosclerosis, diabetes, hypertension, not get blood into their penis. And they need a cardiovascular workup, and they benefit from Viagra, sildenafil, the erection medications. But that's not the vast majority of men. The vast majority of men are getting an erection and losing it. So what do they need? Well, whatever the problem is, whether it's, why is my wife talking about a problem with her mother right now when we're having sex and I'm losing my erections, I'm irritated, or I've had one too many cocktails, or I have a worry, or my doctor started me this antihypertensive medication, and my doctor says I've lost confidence. My dick isn't working as well. I'm losing my erections fast. Every erection, this is an important message for men. Every erection ends with blood leaving the penis. The goal is to keep blood in the penis. Now, I would like my wife not to talk about her mother during sex, and maybe I shouldn't have that extra drink. And the antidepressant medication that my doctor started me on stupidly without warning me about the side effects of it. But if I get an erection, a ring, of course, our ring is the best ring, but a ring will keep the blood in the penis. And that's what most men need. Most men's problem is venous leak from the penis, and it increases as we get older. And the doctors have missed this, and it's obvious. And every man can prove to himself tonight, all your listeners and you guys prove to yourself that rings work and rings are helpful. How? Go to Pornhub or XNXX or wherever you go to when you're alone and you're wanking, or just use your imagination. Get rock hard, and then get your phone, and then see how long it takes for your erection to go down, and then get rock hard again and put a ring on it. Again, ours, of course, but put a ring on it, and you're going to stay hard for a lot longer. A man who loses erection 25 to 35 seconds without a ring. With a ring, it could be 2 to 4 minutes, and that's a huge difference because you're holding the blood in. And I got into this for the data, and the data is really valuable. We've had 2 mega cardiac catheterizations that I'm aware of. We've had a man identify an adrenal tumor early on. Yep. So I don't want to take away from the medical value of what we're doing. But on a mechanical, functional impact, what we've realized is that all men, if you want to rock harder, last longer, be more confident, have more intense orgasm, put a ring on it. Get over it. Because guys' attitude, straight guys' attitude, gay guys are like, hey, I already know this. Straight guys' attitude towards rings is, oh, I don't need that. Well, it's not about need. It's about want. Do you want to, I'll say it again, rock harder, last longer, have more intense orgasm, be more confident, overcome whatever these other things are. One too many cocktails, your wife complained about you before you started having sex, whatever it is.
Stress levels, yeah.
Right. Yeah. A ring is the answer. And I didn't understand that myself because I was that guy 4 years ago who would have said, I don't need that.
Yeah, it's interesting the way that that you describe that, because I would love to say that we came across the product because we're forward-thinking, health-conscious guys, but that's not the route. It's more the fact that I was looking into, we've mentioned him loads of times on the podcast, is Brian Johnson. He's the tech guy. He's on Netflix. He doesn't want to die. And one of the many measurement things that he puts into his regime is measuring his erectile health. And part of me was like, these guys are absolutely obsessed with erections and then their dick, and like, what? Just get over it. Whereas, like, often I think they were geeks in college and they're trying to make up for lost time, and this is something that is more important to them now. And personally, so I'm on testosterone replacement therapy, it was more about fatigue and muscle building that had led me to that. I hadn't realised, although subsequently have, that erectile health was also in decline. I mean, it was almost imperceptible from like one day to another, but I didn't see it as a problem. This quote has been attributed to about 1 million different people, but I prefer the Plato one because it sounds more intelligent, which is like the end of sexual learning, the end of sexual yearning, and the reduction in libido is like escaping from a vicious tyrant, like being unchained from a lunatic. And that's kind of how I felt. Like, you know, the doctor who I consulted with for the TRT said, have you lost your, like, morning erections? And I was like, yeah, it's brilliant. I can just bound out of bed. Like, I've got no worries about, like, what to do with this thing before I get up in the morning. And now, you know, that's something that has returned post that. And I don't think it's even very well known that is indicative. I think you used the phrase, signal that something is wrong.
And you need more than just morning wood. You should be having multiple
during the night while you're asleep. Not so.
Well, I can report that is the case. As I'll wake up because of it.
I hope you of course you are waking your wife up right at that time.
I value my life more than that as well. if there is to be a healthy sex life between. Yeah, well, I have to be careful which way I roll over.
Right.
And also, I've learned that interrupted sleep is a guaranteed way of not having sex. So, you know, we all have our little strategies that we have to adhere to. But yeah, but the point is, I just didn't even know that was indicative of something possibly bad.
Well, let's talk about Brian Johnson is using a device called the Atom. And Brian Johnson has drawn attention to the fact that the penis is the canary in the coal mine of cardiovascular disease. Brian Johnson likes to claim that he now has the penis of his 18, 19-year-old son. That's true, because what distinguishes young men is the refractory period. But I mean, I have again, we don't have a lot of data going down to teen years, but from about age late 20s on up to the late 60s. The average man has 3.3 plus nocturnal erections per night. You can't tell the difference between someone's sex age by looking at their nocturnal erections. But what distinguishes young people, and you guys probably remember, I do too, like 14 years old, you can come 6-7 times in a day. You're 20 years old, down to 5 or 6, just kind of deteriorates from there with the refractory period. And by the way, there is zero research on the declining refractory period, and women like to whine about how they get no attention paid to them. Well, think about that. Here you have a major deterioration, every guy's favorite organ after their brain. Maybe it's a favorite organ before their brain, and it deteriorates. And then there's one paper about mice involving it. So I'd like that'd be an interesting thing to figure out as well too. Brian uses a device that works quite well called the Atom. It will work overnight like our device and count the nocturnal erections, tell you how long they last and how hard you are. What the advantage of our device is our device can also be worn during sex, and we can measure sex erections. And our device can also function as an erection ring, and the Atom can't. Can't do that. But it's in terms of the data that gig is, it's a good device. What I don't like about what Brian is doing, to some degree, although I understand, is he's if you're taking 181 vitamins and all these injections and things, what really works? So that with our device, men and the healthcare providers, or the Atom device that matters as well too, men could actually start to figure out what works. Let's talk about tea, Mark, and I take tea as well too. Why do I take tea? Well, I started when I was 70. I'm 72 now. I was concerned about muscle retention and muscle loss, and also gaining muscle and preventing weakening of my bones. I did ask my urology advisory board what they thought would happen though, because to my nocturnal erections, and their prediction was that they would last longer and they might get harder on average, and that didn't happen. Right now, when testosterone is prescribed, Mark, and this is your case as well too, they ask you 3 questions, if they even bother to ask the questions, because in the United States, they often just want to make money. Go online, you can order the stuff. Here in the United States, you can order it online. And believe me, whatever questionnaire you go to on HIMSS or GetRo, these platforms, you're going to end up getting medication. No matter how you ask the questions. So they'll ask about libido, sleep, and energy. And those are subjective questions. The great thing about the tech ring, the data, is that it's objective. So right now, I'm certain if I told Richard there, hey, Richard, give me your ACH information. I'm going to wire you $100,000. I think tomorrow your energy is 50% better. Your sleep is 50% better. And your libido is 50% better. And your energy is 50% better. And your sleep is 50% better. And your energy is 50% better. And your sleep 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 is probably going to be fabulous. You're going to sleep really well tonight, and your libido tomorrow.
Absolutely.
That's going to be fabulous, and probably your golf game is going to be better too. So those are subjective. Those are subjective things, and that and a lot. And so when I want to make it objective, so when I start taking testosterone, Mark, because I was thinking about, with this tech ring, we can measure objectively how many nocturnal erections are having, how hard are they, how long are they lasting. I can also put a measure around your bicep, put a measure around your pecs, and then I do a CrossFit routine, but I always also I'm a guy. I've got to do some bench presses and some curls, etc. And I got strong. I got significantly like 8 to 10% stronger in my body in 6 weeks on testosterone, and that's why I continue to take it. It had no impact because I don't have significant ED. If I have an issue, it's erections fading faster. It's not getting erection. So in your case, though, I don't know what your T was, but if your T is significantly low, through less than 300, less than 340, that's how it's measured. We have men using our device before they spend lots of money on T. They get a baseline aside from their muscles, which we encourage. They measure their nocturnal erections, and then they can actually see what's the right dose. And we got guys because the doctors are chasing a number. Like for my age, they want to keep me at 600. Well, maybe the right number is 800 for me. Maybe it's 400. I don't know. What is the right dose? And now we have a device that can tell you it's when is it working, when is it not working, and that's really valuable.
So rather looking at a scale, it's what the individual body's telling you.
That's a great point, because we all are an N of one. The data from the tech ring is objective, actionable, but it's also personal. And we doctors often stupidly treat people as if they're one size fits all. You got high blood pressure? And by the way, do we treat high blood pressure with just giving out pills the way we do with Viagra and Viagra and Cialis? I mean, it boggles the mind what goes on in urology in comparison to the rest of medicine. Richard, imagine if you went to your doctor right now and you said, "Hey, I think I have high blood pressure. My face flushes when I walk uphill." And then and your doctor said, "Hey, Richard, take this pill. I'm back in 3 months." You think, what the fuck? You got a blood pressure cuff in your office? You have an electrocardiogram in your office? Are you going to check my liver proteins? And that's where we are with urologists. They are treating us, men, as if we are one size fits all. And it's with both the testosterone, with the PD5 medications, and that's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been quite lucky actually with just talking about TRT for a moment. So I started off, I think it's measured slightly differently in Europe. I know you were dealing in freedom units then, but so I think if you convert it, I was at 311, and then I was
That's
also
low.
in part of a study that and I had addressed a load of lifestyle issues, and I thought I should be in better shape than this. I should feel better, and that's what prompted me to go ahead. And so I think that's right at the basement of whatever the normal range. So the NHS in the UK, they won't treat you until
that's low normal. You need treatment for that.
Yeah.
But to Rich's point, a guy of the exact same weight, physical fitness as you, might respond to a different dose than you. That's what's really interesting to me about taking care of men with testosterone. That was Rich's point, which is that we all vary in terms of our TRT testosterone receptors. And so I'm sorry, Mark, but I interrupted you. You were talking about yourself.
No. It's just I was just going to say that after so I was on a study, which meant I had a blood test a lot earlier than you normally would, and like the first 2 or 3 weeks, I was absolute. And I get this every now and then, not to the same degree, but I felt like I was on like recreational drugs constantly, just with like absolutely flying, and my level was 1400 when that was, which is probably too high, or at least out of the range. But if you were treating for feeling and symptoms,
that's where you go.
That is my number. I tell you,
Were you a bit aggressive at that number?
No, it was completely opposite. I was absolutely chilled. I was just getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, building sheds, and just basically being very manly.
Let's get another opinion here. Richard, when he was at 1400, was he a little bit aggressive?
He's never scared me, so don't worry about it. No, but honestly, at that point, it was like an evangelist. How good he felt, how well he felt, what he was doing. It was fantastic. But I can imagine you put the guy that lives next door to him on those numbers, and he'd be like a raging bull. So it's individuals.
Yeah, I mean, I do actually know someone. I do know someone who listened to my evangelism, went on it, and has had an all right time, but probably the same dosage, but other issues, and it hasn't really gone as well as I claimed it had. And that's because, we're different, right? And maybe I'm just genetically predisposed to react well to it. I don't know. But
we all have different quantity of testosterone receptors, and they also that number of receptors changes as we get older. I got up to 1,200, and my wife complained about my mood. I felt great, but if objectively, I also recognize that even though I felt great, I was a bit peckish at times, and probably a good thing I didn't have misbehaving 4-year-old children around me, because they would have gotten punished in an old school way.
It's also about how you feel, but then we're at an age where we've got families. It's not just about you, it's about everyone around you as well. Everyone's got to feel well, not just yourself.
One of the things I wanted to ask you as well, and it's around the sort of cultural attitudes towards cock rings, and we've sort of been guilty of this ourselves, because although we totally get that there is this valid medical and scientific reasoning behind using it, I cannot say that unboxing part of the episode was treated with reverence. Or, we were giggling away like schoolboys, like the immature idiots that we are. And, part of what I want to achieve in this, and me and Richard want to achieve in this podcast, is to normalise a lot of stuff that we don't talk about. But, I mean, I'm not sure we did that the right way, but it's reflective of a societal approach towards this sort of health, these sorts of technology that may not be helpful.
Yeah. I think cock rings should be mainstream for men. And you think about, again, we talked about men before. We get saddled with dysfunction. We don't want to talk about it. We end up with, we're porn addicted. Addicted? What the fuck do you mean addicted? And again, just like before, where we talked about the doctors, the academic urologists see the sickest people in the practices, the men who can't struggle to get an erection, can't attain an erection, and they project from that onto the general population. The therapists see, people who are genuinely porn addicted, guys who live in their basement, in their living at home in their mother's in their basement, and they, it'd be like right now, if I'm talking to you guys, I'm actually projecting spiked red heels in front of me because I've got to, I'm addicted. Most guys, it's not addiction. It's a pleasure. It's a distraction, and we're men. And don't tell them, don't. I mean, I've got customers and patients whose wives catch them watching porn. They make them see a therapist. One thing my opinion, is guys should probably get divorced, because that kind of woman, that's not going to work out long term. But it's. Then we got, what else we have? We have, how did we come up, because who came up with the phrase junk for penis or cock? That's junk. Do you imagine talking about pussy as junk? But they wouldn't be like, you're out of your mind. Get out of here. Then we got toxic masculinity. I mean, we really get dumped on. And I would like to see cock rings be mainstream, because all men will benefit from the performance enhancement that they bring. And frankly, all men will benefit from the performance enhancement of the PD5 medications as well, too. And we did a study internally, and there's a woman who confirmed this externally, and the study's going to be published next year, I'm certain, comparing the maximum performance ring, which is a non-tech ring, to 10 milligrams of Cialis, which is the most tadalafil, was the most commonly prescribed PD5 medication in the world. They were equivalent. Guys instead of thinking about pills as hey, I got a problem, or I want to perform better, they should be thinking about rings. And if you want to maximize your performance, with the FED donor performance, use them both, because you'll last longer. and have more fun.
So one of the things I said to Richard is that, of course, as his dear friend, I hope he's in absolute rude health and there's nothing wrong with him. But as a content creator nowadays, I hope he's on the verge of a heart attack, and this is the early warning system that saves his life. So, Rich, you've had it now for a little while. I don't think you've worn it every night, but have you got any data? Because with Dr. Justin, what should we be looking out for? What should Richard be looking out for
data?
with his data? Yeah, let's compare. I would like you two to compare data.
Well, I've used it for. I'd like to say at this point that I can wholeheartedly agree with what you say. That, quite frankly, when I first started using it, it was a little bit unusual, uncomfortable.
We're not used to it. Yeah,
it's fantastic. It's comfortable. I'm not saying this because you're on the podcast. It's comfortable. The benefits are fantastic, and the data you get from it is really, really helpful, because you've got the scale when you fill in your initial your age, your weight, everything like that. And after, when you upload every time, have you used drugs? Have you used it? As you said, Doctor, no one sees this data. It's just you. So you've got to be honest with yourself. Have you used drugs? Have you used alcohol? And then you get that. I'm not at the point where I've got the graph because I haven't used it enough yet, but already I can see the major benefits of this.
Come on,
really
stop being coy. Let's have some numbers.
Well, Richard, I don't know if you have just last week we had another user experience update, coding update, and we now, with 85,000 documented erections, we now compare you to hundreds and hundreds of men in your age group. So you will actually see, am I average, above average, below, and you'll start, people get notifications, obviously.
Yeah.
For example,
averaging about 4 a night. 4 erections a night.
You're a stallion, man. Way to go.
Thank you very much.
If you have 4 erections per night, that's above average. I'm guessing what your age is, but I won't say what it is online here. But I'm guessing
it's 46. We're both 46.
46, both 46.
Okay, that's slightly above average for your age.
That's very disappointing to hear.
Keep it up.
But what I'm interested in, what I like is, even during that period, like for the sexual type of thing, it shows how long the variations. The graphs are so accurate. I genuinely would recommend this for men, whether it's sleeping. You can sleep in it, and it's really comfortable. It genuinely is. I'm not just saying that. It's great.
So what I do, this is a tip, Richard, is before I try to have sex every night. I believe firmly that an orgasm a day keeps the doctor away. If you tighten it up through the loop around the base of the shaft before sex for pleasure, and then when you sleep, I then loosen up, for comfort. And I agree with it. For the first 2 or 3 times I wore it, I'm going back a couple of years right now. It's like, I'm not used to. I
it's there.
naked.
It's there.
I take my rings off. I take my watch off, and we have.
I do. Yeah.
And that's just, we're not women. Women will like to sleep in underwear, wear clothing, and so guys just don't, aren't. And about 5 to 7% of men complain about how it's uncomfortable, and I tell them, well, you wore it once. Wear it around the house for an hour or two during the day so you get used to it. Or I had one guy just wear it around your wrist, just because we need to, because a lot of guys need to get used to it, but it's I'm really appreciate your comments.
I'm at a point now where I forget it's on.
Yes, yeah. I wake up sometimes in the morning to take a piss, and it's like, oh, it's on.
I've done that as well. Yeah. No, the benefits of it, even for the limited use I've had, I can really see it.
Does your wife like it?
Yes. Yeah.
Because we get positive comments from women that, especially with a little bit of lube on top of the on the insert, that it's something more comfortable for them to actually rub on. If you don't want getting graphic, because this is after all, Mom, Dad's got another tattoo show. That as women get older, rubbing clitoris on pubic bone and pubic hair is not as attractive to them as it was when they were 25, and and therefore a little bit of lube on the soft elastin or something that, so, when I'd say 2 or 3 times a month we get positive emails from women about how they like it too. But the women also comment they like the fact that they don't have to worry that the erection is going to fade because the guy has a ring on, and that makes them more able to focus on their pleasure. Yeah. So are you going to tattoo FirmTech? If you tattoo FirmTech on your arm, we will.
Well, I've just about got the space.
I mean, he gets the tattoo every fortnight at the moment, so that's his deal.
Just don't put it up here.
No, I'm definitely below the neck, and so far above the waist. But I'm considering changing that after
well,
this.
Well, there is one guy, who had our logo tattooed above his tailbone. That's a look.
That's dedication.
He did suggest that we use that for marketing purposes. I don't know. As you can tell, I'm a fairly uninhibited person, but I just felt that was. Well, in fact, if I was just involved with a gay audience for sex, I would do that. But I want people to also recognize, as you have, Richard, this is a dual purpose device. This has a medical function as well too. And there are guys who
absolutely.
If for marketing purposes, I started, have had a guy with FirmTech trans stamp, they might not take it seriously.
No, that is true. I mean, it's difficult to, we've sort of tipped over the line of taking it seriously and not. I think we started not, and then, as we have seen the practical applications of it, been converted, if you like. Not sure the tramp stamp tattoo in that place is. Well, it's called Mum, Dad's Got Another Tattoo. That's my daughter announcing the fact that I've got another tattoo. So I'm not really sure I'd want to reveal that particular placement. But we really appreciate you being on the show. And I think if we could say the one thing that you wanted men to do to optimize their house, it would to optimize their health, it would be get a ring, get some data, and then react to it. I guess there's no use in waiting till things are chronic. We spoke last week about Richard getting a neck massage.
Yeah, you want to identify problems before they become overt. You want to identify them when they're, as I say in medicine, when they're subclinical. And that's the whole purpose of screening people: electrocardiogram, low proteins, hemoglobin. We're getting this data ideally to identify problems before they become overt. And Richard, you are you're doing great for your age group, but there are men your age group who have two, and so they're not. It's not disastrous yet, but it's telling them, oh, I need to. Is it a cardiovascular issue? Do I need to lose weight? Is it my medication? It's an alert. It's also from my perspective, a very fun way of monitoring one's health.
If you are interested in the Tech Ring from FirmTech, there'll be a link in the show description. And so if you're interested with that, please click on that and take a look and begin your own journey to gathering your data and knowledge and addressing your own health.
And Mark, I want to make one other point. We now distribute from London. So if people are ordering from the UK, there won't be these huge custom fees that are not.
Yeah, I think Richard, you were all right. You must have.
Mine came within 48 hours, no delivery fee. Perfect.
Right.
Effortless.
There you go. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Elliot Justin, for being on Mum, Dad's Got Another Tattoo.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
So that was Dr. Elliot Justin, CEO of FirmTech. Love to hear what you think about that. But if you do want to try out any of his products, go to firmtech.com and use the code TATTOO, and you can join Richard in the penis cardiac health revolution with 15% off. So there'll be a link in the show description. Click that, buy a cock ring, you get 15% off. Code
What's not to
TATTOO.
like?
What's not to like about that? Exactly. So, what did you think?
He was an interesting man.
It's going to be interesting when within the first 2 minutes he's telling you a story about his mum had to take him to the doctors about his wanking.
Your face was a picture. I thought he was going to go. I thought he was going to go down one path, but it didn't go where I thought he was.
No, it was all right. It was all right, and he also really ingratiated himself with me because he obviously thought you were fucking miles older than me, which which just shows you, as I've been saying for weeks and weeks, if not months and years, that golf makes you an old, boring bastard.
Look at the colour of me today. No golf. Normal colour.
Normal for you.
What do you mean? Like David Dickinson sitting over here. No, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting.
No. Let's not breeze over that. He thought you were in your 50s.
Yeah. And he thought he met me at a biohacking conference in Switzerland, which put me on the back foot.
It did, rather. Did you for one second think was I at a biohacking? Was I at a biohacking?
Yeah. What I was trying to refer back. What weekends have got out of hand over in February that I just don't remember. No, but yeah, that was interesting. At that moment, I thought, we got one here. We got an interesting one.
And I guess the other thing that was interesting is that you're above average.
I will take that at this stage of life. I will take it. That's what I'm aiming for.
No, that's very good. So, and I think the overall vibe of this is kind of right in the sweet spot of where I want this show to be, because obviously we're talking about knobs and being vastly immature about it, but it does have a scientific and medical application, which I think can be of use. I mean, I highlighted as well, and I think this is something a little bit unhealthy, that I think all this biohacking and Brian Johnson longevity are too obsessed with the below the waist, quite frankly. Always talking about. Now, is that just my own natural squeamishness, or is it all these geeks at university or college who are in their room, just the cost of building your £1 billion tech business is that you're not down the student fraternising, shall we put it that way? And I think they're kind of making up for lost time, like post-billionaire. I mean, look at Jeff Bezos and his post-Amazon glow-up. You look at interviews of him in the mid-90s and he's your archetypal tech geek, and now he's walking around with tight t-shirts and a shaved head trying to be in a team with Vin Diesel. And I'm not sure that is a particularly healthy approach, because as I have found as well, if you start doing all this stuff for other people, I don't think it works in the long term. I mean, it probably works if you've got all day and infinite resources, but for the rest of us, you have to do this stuff for yourself.
Yeah, but I think going back to the doctor's origin story, when he said about his mum took him to the doctors, you can see how that has led him down this path to creating this technology that seems to be central to his. A lot of. I mean, to be fair to him, he is not only a doctor with 25 years of emergency room medicine experience, but he's also a serial health entrepreneur. And this is not something he's come to later in life. He's had a number of ventures that I think he's exited pretty well from, and we had a glimpse of his ranch in Montana as well, and I think he's done all right for himself. Yeah. Looks all right, doesn't he? Neighbouring up to Yellowstone.
Yeah, right on the Yellowstone with a view of the mountains to match. So all very impressive. So, I mean, did talking to him change your view of, this device? Because, we kind of felt like it was a bit of a novelty. I guess it still is to some degree. Is it going to be part of your sort of day-to-day health regime, or is it, it's just too inconvenient to use? Because
do you know what? It's one of those things where, as you say, it was the novelty. Let's buy it. Let's have a look. The British sniggering, as we like to do. But after speaking to him and sort of setting it up and reading through the data it collects, and now speaking to Dr. Justin and the benefits of that data, it's something. I'm not saying I'll use it every day, but it's something that, as a wellness check, you put it on and you forget about it. Genuinely, you genuinely put it on, forget about it. You fall asleep, you go to sleep. I mean, what's easier than that?
Yeah, that's true. It does seem like is it like just a mental barrier to get over? And then once it's, you think, I remember once you went to triathlon training with me and confided that you walked along the pool and it felt like your bits were hanging out because you felt so self-conscious.
Oh, in those shorts. Never wear those shorts again. I mean,
I always felt that was funny because that's exactly how I felt on my first session as well. But it's, all this stuff is going on in your head. No one's really looking at you, and this device as well is in one would hope, the privacy of your own house.
Yeah, I forgot. I've genuinely forgot I've had it on, and only when you go to have a shower or, you realise if you're working from home, you go, you realise a couple of hours later you've still got it on.
All right, that's very interesting. Well, if anyone else does want to try it out and get that sort of health data, and let your knob tell you whether you're going to have a heart attack or not, as I say, the link is in the description, and you can get 15% off with the code tattoo. I love saying that. I don't think anyone will do it, to be quite honest. But if you are, it makes me feel like a real podcaster.
We don't get details if you do it, so don't worry, it's completely anonymous.
Yeah, your data is safe, and he said that as well, didn't he? At the beginning, that your data is safe.
I thought he was going to pull mine up. I shit myself.
That would have been amazing.
Would it?
Well, for me. Yeah.
If anyone else knows of any other products that you would like us to try, let us know.
Yeah, we're always on the lookout for stuff like this. We want to see what works and what doesn't. One of the things we're looking at the moment is a regular blood test monitor. We'll see if we can bring that to you as well. And because I'm a huge advocate of regular blood tests, but the issue is, I think, is the first part of that is a finger prick blood test, which I've done twice and basically turned the bathroom into a murder scene as there's blood everywhere except for this tiny little vial, which, I mean, some of that speaks to my ability to keep things neat and tidy, which is not the highest, but also how difficult it can be. And if you feel funny about needles and blood and all that sort of stuff, which is perfectly natural, it's great that there are these innovations that help you do it a lot more effectively. So we're going to be looking at that and anything in between. Let us know if you've come across anything that you want us to try out, and we'll do it.
I am your guinea pig, so within reason. Within reason.
No, not within reason. Yeah, so by we, I of course mean Richard.
Yeah, this is why I say it with so much gusto.
Yeah, very enthusiastically. But yeah, please do that, and please get in touch again with any of our sections or guests or themes that we've covered. We'd love to hear from you, your thoughts or your experiences. Get in touch, and we'll try and build something here that is actually hopefully entertaining, but also worth something. So we'll leave it there for now. Let's hear what you think about FirmTech, Dr. Elliot Justin, or anything else, as we say. Get in touch. Mum, Dad's got another tattoo on social media, or Dad's got another tattoo at gmail.com. Look forward to hearing from you. But until then, we'll leave it there and say thank you very much for listening. See you next time. Bye-bye. Bye.